Hi, it's Taylor T. Carlson. It's been a while, but I'm back with another video. Gonna be making a big change to the channel here. I just bought a device so that I can capture video content from video games, so I'm gonna be doing more reviews for video games from here on out, probably with an emphasis on more classic games than modern ones. As you could probably tell from that opening clip, of course today we're gonna be looking at one of my personal favorite classic games from the early days of the Super Nintendo.
The game I'm talking about, of course, is UN Squadron for the Super Nintendo by Capcom. This game was based on a manga by Kaoru Shintani, which started in Japan in 1979. It was adapted for anime twice, once in an OVA in 1985, and then again in 2004 for a 12-episode series. The original manga revolves around a young man who is tricked into serving in a foreign legion in the Middle East, and he wants nothing more than to return to Japan where he can spend the rest of his life with the woman he loves. Unfortunately, he has to transition from being a kind-hearted young man to a cold-blooded killer just to survive. For this English language adaptation of the franchise, a lot of the ambiguity and the horrors of war are omitted, and the plot is much more of a basic good guys versus bad guys plot, hence the name UN Squadron. But then again, we don't really play shooter games for the plot, now do we?
I've always had a thing for aviation and air travel because my dad is a pilot, so from a very young age I've had airplanes and things like this around me in my life, so pretty much any time there was an airplane-related video game, I definitely got enthused about it. Now, I can't remember if I played the arcade game first or the Super Nintendo game first. It would have been in the early 90s when I first played this game, but it's one that definitely stuck with me, and I've been a huge fan of it ever since.
When you hit Game Start, you're going to get your choice of one of three pilots. Do you want the guy who upgrades his regular weapon the fastest? Do you want the special weapons expert, or do you want a guy who can take more damage and recover from his hits faster than any other pilot? From there, you'll go into the command center where you get to choose your mission. When you're just starting the game, there's only one stage available, but after you beat that stage, you'll unlock others. From there, you go into a shop where you see the airplanes that are available, as well as what special weapons you'll be able to use. You only start the game with $3,000 and the most basic airplane, and this creates an interesting situation because do you want to go ahead and spend your money on weapons to complete the mission, or do you want to save up your money over time and get a better airplane? As you'll see, not every airplane can use every form of weapon, which really forces you to take strategy into account when you tackle these levels. Here you can get an idea of what to expect when you're playing through the levels. You'll have obstacles of all kinds to contend with. You've got helicopters, tanks, rival airplanes. And as you play through the levels, you can shoot certain spots on the screen, and sometimes you'll find hidden items and weapons which can help you out, which will really come in handy. The levels in the game cover a wide variety of terrain, from enemy bases to the sky, the sea, the desert, even underground caves. As you play through these levels, you're going to get money for every enemy that you destroy, so over the course of time, you'll build up quite a nest egg, and that can be handy for getting your next plane, or perhaps just getting the weapons that you need to get through the next mission. Different planes suit different missions well. If you're going to an air-to-air combat stage, you might want to buy the F-14 Tomcat. It's the fastest plane in the game, and it's got the best air-to-air weapons you could possibly ask for, but at the same time, it's not really the kind of plane you'd want if you were doing an air-to-ground mission with a lot of ground-based targets. Conversely, if you're going on a lot of missions where there are ground-based targets, you're going to want to get the A-10 Thunderbolt. It's the slowest plane in the game, but it's got one of the best arsenals of ground-based weapons you could ask for, plus the plane has a second Vulcan cannon that fires downward diagonally. Of course, standing between you and victory are plenty of big bad bosses, and you'll encounter one at the end of every level. Much like the other aspects of the game, the bosses you fight are pretty diverse. They range from giant tanks to stealth bombers to even a few more science fiction influenced ones. I really like the detail that Capcom went to on these bosses. You even get to see battle damage on them as you go through the battle, which I thought was a really nice touch. something you don't see a lot of care taken with in older 8 and 16-bit games. Another really innovative feature is, as you can see on the screen here, with some of the bigger targets, you'll actually have to make multiple passes if you didn't destroy everything the first time around. Again, something you see all the time in plenty of modern shooters, but in a side-scrolling Super Nintendo game in 1991, that was unheard of. As you play through the game and beat more bosses, you'll open up more of the map, and there will be times where certain sea and air-based target levels will get too close to the base and you have to go deal with them, but when you complete a mission, you will get a partial refund on unused weaponry that you purchased beforehand, which is kind of a nice incentive. Between levels, you can go and attack the enemy's truck convoys, and by destroying these in a timely fashion, you can actually make extra money. This is really handy if you're trying to save up all the extra cash to get a better airplane down the road. As much as I love the game, it's not perfect. It lacks the 2-player co-op of its arcade counterpart, and there is a pretty big difficulty spike later in the game. Even easy mode isn't easy. You can plan on seeing that game over screen plenty. But how does the game hold up, all things considered?
UN Squadron absolutely holds up. 30 years on, this is still one of my favorite games of all time. There's a lot of other shooters out there that tend to get the credit. You see all these reviews raving about Gradius and R-Type, and those are absolutely great games, don't get me wrong, but for me, UN Squadron is just a game that's never really been topped, at least in this genre. Have you ever played UN Squadron, and if so, what are your thoughts on the game? Is it one of your favorite shooters of all time? Is it one that didn't leave a great impression with you? Whatever your thoughts are, feel free to share them in the comments section below. And if you haven't taken the time to do so, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. Definitely going to have more game reviews on the way since I've got the equipment for that now. This has been Taylor T. Carlson. I will see you in my next video.